Hey everybody, welcome back to the Back to Bits podcast. Wow, it's been like, I don't know, 6 months.
It's been a bit, yeah.
It's been a bit. Anyway, I'm John, that's Deephead Danny. Hi Danny, how you doing?
Hey, John, how you doing?
I'm all right. I figured
Awesome.
everybody probably figured we were just, gone, dead,
Well,
done
who could
with.
blame him? I mean, it's been a while, like you said.
It's been a long while, and it's, I would say it's 99% my fault because I have been working on the road for a while.
It happens. I mean, I've been busy with my own stuff too, and it just, it's hard to sync up sometimes.
Yeah, it is. It got real hard. And then, anybody that follows the other podcasts that we do, just the regular Gamers Lounge podcast, it's been so sporadic. If we could get one in a month, we felt like we were doing something special.
Yeah.
So, but this year, I'm hoping that we'll be able to do whatever week we don't do the regular podcast. We'll be able to do this one. That's my goal. Of course, we were supposed to do this 2 weeks ago, and that didn't happen either. So there you go.
Well, it happens. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the trend. It makes sense we'd start back, on a delay.
Yeah. I mean, why bucket? But that's all right. We're
Yeah.
here now, and we're going to make a better effort of it. I promise.
Right.
So let's start with anything that we have picked up over the past 6 months. I'm not going to go. I didn't label everything that I got that I'd picked up, but I did label
Yeah,
some of the highlights of
it's
it.
hard to remember everything. Why don't
Yeah.
you go first this time?
Okay, I was gonna say I usually take pictures and post them online, and then I keep them on my phone. That's pretty much the only way I know what I've gotten in the past
Right.
couple months. Because I mean, really, see, the last time we recorded, I was getting ready to go to Florida for vacation in July, and that's really the last time I got anything was around July or August. While we were down in Florida, I stopped at the game store that I regulared when we first went down, and picked up Dracula on the Game Gear, and Incredible Hulk on the Game Gear as well. I picked up those two games. I've bought quite a few Game Gear games last year. I think I went from having like 5 or 6 to I think I'm up in the 50s now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was just buying up lots of them and getting rid of ones that I didn't have. I've still got an
Sure.
extra copy here of Batman. Batman Returns. I don't even know how I got it, but I got an extra copy of it here. It's just been sitting here on the desk for months collecting dust. I need to give it to somebody, sell it, do something. Anyway, need to get rid of it anyhow. I like the Dracula game on the Game Gear. It's very much like almost like a Castlevania game, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool. The Incredible Hulk game's just your side-scrolling beat 'em up type of game, which I'm a sucker for those. So, and I think I got those pretty cheap. They were probably $5. Oh, bless you. The other one I got was Blaster Master on the PS1, and the reason I got it was I think I saw you streaming it one night, and I
Yeah.
thought, wow, that game's really cool. I need to try to find it, and I finally found a copy of it down there, so I picked it up, and I liked it too. I thought it was really, really
Yeah.
cool.
And that's one that's not that expensive, but you really don't see it pop up. I mean,
Right.
it's like what, a $12 game, $15 maybe, like that.
Maybe, but I don't even remember how. It's been so long ago. Like I said, I don't even remember how much. $10, $15 at the most. Because
Exactly, yeah.
I think I spent less than $20 or around $20 for all three of those games. So and I think they were having a special on the Game Gear games. I think they were half off or something like that. Certain Game Gear games. So.
Right.
And the other one that I got was one that I'd been wanting for a long time, and I actually found it in a lot. I remember this one. There was a lot of games. I think it was there was Castlevania. There was a couple sports games, and there was another game I don't remember what it was. There was like 5 games anyway, and the fifth or sixth game was Metal Storm, and he wanted $60 for the whole lot. And the reason he was asking $60 for the whole lot was because his copy of Metal Storm wasn't working. He said he couldn't get it working. It never worked. It never worked. Never worked. And I thought, well, you know what? For $60 for the whole lot of games, it's worth a
Right.
shot. So
Take the chance.
yeah. So picked them up, brought it home, clean Metal Storm, worked like a charm. Took the label, had a decal stuck to it, peeled it off, looks good as new. And then I sold the other ones for like $50. So
Nice.
it's like, so I ended up
$10
getting
Metal Storm.
Yeah, $10 Metal Storm. So
Not bad.
no, it wasn't bad at all. I thought that was a pretty good deal for a pretty cool game that
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and I'd only played it on on my EverDrive, so it was cool to. I like to play games on my EverDrive, and then if I find a game that I really, really like on the EverDrive, I try to go out and buy it. Because there's so many, especially with the NES. I didn't play the NES, until the late '90s. So there was a lot of games I missed out on that I read about or heard about, but I never actually played them. So the EverDrive has been a good thing for me because then I go back and I could try them out and go, okay, I want to get this and I want to get that one. I'm not out to get a whole collection or a whole set, because I just. Well, I don't want to. I don't have the room for it, but I have the room, but I don't want to do all that work. That's a lot of work. I've got my toes in too many other game systems to do it. So
sure.
But the other thing that I actually got in, and I actually got this in the other day, Mercedes sent me this for review. It's the M Classic. And I know a lot of retro gamers out there have probably seen this or at least heard about it. It's essentially a upscaler, or they call it a graphics processor for anything that you plug in HDMI. So you'd plug this into your system or your output, and then you'd plug a cable into this end into your TV, and of course it needs power. It has a USB port. So like I have an HDMI selector, so I just stick this in the out, so anything in the 5 switches that are coming through, it will work. What's cool about it is if it's a 480p signal, it will upscale it to 1080p. If it's 720p or above, it upscales it to 4K. It actually upscales it to 1440p, which is still 4K. It's not full 4K, but it is 4K. It also will smooth out edges. If there's anything rigid or jaggy, it will smooth those jaggies out. So with games like anything 8-bit or 16-bit, like the Genesis or the Super Nintendo or the NES or any of those things, the Master System, this doesn't really, to me, doesn't do any good. It just is like the smoothing option on a retro game console collection or something like that.
Yeah.
And if you're into that, then great, because it'll take that 480p signal that if you're using like a RetroTink 2X and you're running an HDMI into this, then it'll take that signal and upgrade it to 1080p, which looks nice. I mean, it looks nice and clear and bright and crisp, but all the pixels and stuff like that are all smoothed, and I don't.
Yeah, no, pixels are supposed to be sharp.
Yeah, I don't like that. That's the one thing I don't like about it. I wish it had a pass through that would just upgrade the image to 1080, but leave the pixels. I think that would be really cool. But it has 3 settings. You got off, which is just a pass through. Then the second setting is the actual on. It'll light up green, and then if you want to go retro, you push it down. And pretty much all it is, it does the same thing as the middle. It just does a 4:3 image instead of stretching it out to a 16:9, which is a nice touch. I like that because these are the guys that did the M cable a couple of years ago, and it didn't have anything like this. You couldn't set it. It was just, it would stretch it out, and you'd have to let your TV push it back down to 4:3. I haven't got to try this on the Saturn yet, but I did try it on the GameCube. And that's one of the things I got for the GameCube was I finally got Swiss set up on it, and I bought one of the SD to, I think it's called SP to SD card. Anyway, it's a little chip that plugs into your serial port 2 on the bottom of your GameCube, and you stick a memory card in there, and you can. With the Swiss, you can burn your entire library of GameCube games down onto that SD card. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, what do I need that for if I've got the disc? Well, there's a couple of different things with that. With Swiss, if a game does not display in progressive scan, I use the Carby, so I get a 480p signal out of my GameCube. if a game does progressive scan. If it doesn't, then it does 480, but it's still a digital signal because I use a digital port. What's cool with the Swiss is it will force it to display in progressive. So like Skies of Arcadia on the GameCube is only interlaced. It's only 480i. But with the Swiss, it will patch it and make it 480p. So just with that, it makes it look like a brand new game. Just the 480p alone just brightens up the picture, smooths everything out. It looks totally awesome. You add this to it that takes away the jaggies and upscales it to 1080p. It looks like a HD remaster of the game.
Nice.
It is unbelievable. Now I know this is $100. The Carby 70. The action replay is 20 on the GameCube, and then the SD card adapter is little device it plugs in is $11, and then a few bucks for the memory card adapter to put the other SD card in to actually boot Swiss. So you're looking at a ton of money for just a GameCube to make it this way. But I prefer to play GameCube games on the GameCube rather than using a Wii.
Sure.
But that's just me. I think the picture looks crisper on the GameCube than it does on the Wii. But I haven't tried the Wii with this running component through the RetroTink, so that might be a whole different story. There's a lot of systems I just have not tried with this.
Sure.
I did try the PlayStation 3 because that system was known to have games with a lot of jagged edges and a lot of blurries and stuff like that. And I sent you the pictures of it of NCAA football. It would run in 480p or 720p, sorry, with this just pass through, and it was kind of hard to see the numbers. It wasn't real clear. Things were kind of, jaggy and this and that and that and this. When you bump this up, you turn it on, suddenly it goes to 4K. It smooths out all the edges. You can see the numbers. You can see a sheen on things. So this thing really works. If you're somebody that has multiple systems, HDMI, running a HDMI switcher, this is really, really cool. If you're just a guy who does NES, Super NES, this isn't for you.
May not be for you.
Yeah. Get a FrameMeister or a OSSC or something that will sharpen those pixels that where this kind of dulls them out. But like this even works for the PlayStation 4. I even hooked it up today to my regular PlayStation 4 and bumped it up to 4K, and it absolutely takes away some of those jaggies. Things in the distance that looks rough, it clears them up. It's really, it is really a cool thing for $100. Especially if you've already got like a RetroTink, or you've just got a basic thing and you just want to take your polygon based games, your 3D based games, and really clean them up. This thing will do it. I'm anxious to get some time to put in with a Saturn or a PS1,
or original
or PS2.
Xbox.
Yeah, original Xbox. That's another one. See, I have the component cables for the Xbox, so I can run them through the RetroTink,
right,
and then run this in. And a lot of those original Xbox games would through component. There's one or two that would do 1080p. So most of them did, I think, at least 480s. There was a couple that did 720, but I think most of them did 480p.
I never owned an Xbox.
Yeah, I had an Xbox on launch. I bought an Xbox on launch. Bought a GameCube on launch. After the Dreamcast died, that was what I went with. I didn't really. I bought a PlayStation 2 eventually because everybody else was dead. The Xbox was dead. Though, if there's just some games you had to play on the on the PlayStation 2. And the Dreamcast looks phenomenal with this thing.
I'll bet.
Because it just, mine looks, I'm kind of biased with mine because I have it VGA running to a VGA to HDMI converter that upscales it to 420 anyway. The 1080 that it upscales to was always too washed out, so I'd cut it back to 420. But with this thing is amazing, just taking it from 420 to 1080. Which actually, now that I think about it, if I run it through that 4K switch box, it might actually take that up to 1440. I haven't tried it since I made a mistake the first time I was using it. I was going, it only upscales it to 1080. It only does 1080. Well, that's because I was going through my splitter that goes to my Elgato and the
Okay.
TV, but my splitter is not for 4K. It was for 10.
Okay,
It was
right.
1080, so it wasn't it was dumbing that down. It would still do the smoothing and stuff, but it wouldn't. It wouldn't bump it up to the 4K. So I need
Right.
to try the Dreamcast again now that I've switched some things around. So it'll do the 4K. I've got to get a 4K switch. I haven't tried to, or a 4K splitter. I haven't tried it on splitting the 4K signal to the Elgato. If the Elgato will only read it as 1080p, that would be nice, but I don't know anything about that. I haven't played with it yet. Oh, that's the other thing. The Switch looks amazing with this thing, too.
Yeah.
It bumps the Switch up to 4.8 or to 1440. Takes away a lot of those jaggies and fuzziness that the Switch games have too. Astral Chain looks phenomenal with this little thing.
Right.
So does Xenoblade Chronicles. That game was kind of sketchy looking, on the system anyway. But this really cleans things up, so you don't have so much of the blur and stuff like that. So, big thanks to Elgato, or big thanks to Mercedes for sending this to me. I'm really glad that they sent this to me to try out, because now that I've actually tried it out, I would be more than happy to buy one. It's one of
Right.
those things that's like, well, I don't know if I would pay $100 for it or not. I can go on YouTube and watch all the YouTube videos I want, but YouTube compresses crap and makes things look different sometimes, and then you actually get it home and you're like, oh, it doesn't look a thing like that. But
Yeah.
this thing really works good. So
Cool.
if you've got things outputting HDMI, like a RetroTink, or even an OSSC. I mean, I don't really know why you would need this with an OSSC. I mean, you could use it, but I don't.
Double it up, give it a little bit of extra oomph.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the OSSC doesn't do 4K, so
Yeah.
if anything, you could adjust it just so you could get 4K images out of it. So, especially if you're pixeling up a thing. But the trouble is, though, if you're using like a Genesis or something like that, it'll just smooth those pixels
Yeah.
out. And I don't like that. I like my pixels pixelated. There's
Exactly.
I
You want those edges as
Yeah.
edgy as possible.
yeah, those edges I want. I don't like.
Polygons not so much,
Right.
but the sprite based, it's got to get it as
Yeah.
sharp as you
It's
can.
got to get as sharp as you can. You're absolutely right. So what have you picked up lately, Danny?
Oh, not much.
Just
So,
nothing at all.
yeah, it's a story time, if you will. A couple years ago, I was visiting family up in Maryland, and my oldest nephew's other uncle, he was over visiting, and we were talking, and he knows that I collect games, and he was asking if I had a Virtual Boy. I was like, no, it's one of the ones I don't have. He's like, well, I had one at one point. It's probably in storage. I've only played it a few times. If I find it, it's totally yours. And I'm like, oh, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's sort of thing that you don't want to get super hopeful about in case it doesn't pan out. But you're
Right.
like, oh, that'll be really cool. You just kind of stick that in the back of your mind there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And this was like 2 years ago or something. And I had forgotten about it. And he found it. And he brought it to
Oh,
my
wow.
mom's house while I was visiting. Yeah. And so he said I could have it for free. I mean, it was in really good condition. I mean,
That's great.
it's a little bit dusty, but it's got like I cleaned it up obviously.
Yeah.
But it came with Mario Tennis, and it works. I plugged in the batteries, popped in the cartridge. There was absolutely no issue. It came right on. It's got the legs on the stand, so it's not
Oh, that's good.
missing anything. Yeah, so it doesn't have the battery pack or the rechargeable battery pack or the head strap. It doesn't have that either. It's I guess the base model. I guess you could get the deluxe one that came with the extra accessories
Yeah.
or something. But I got it for free, and it's really cool. It's and I popped in, like I said, Mario Tennis. I tried it out. It's not bad. It actually has some pretty nice looking pixels and some really really nice parallax scrolling, which I was kind of impressed.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that it's on the Virtual Boy and it
Yeah.
wasn't on like Game Boy or even Super Nintendo could do something like that with just the dumbed down graphics.
I remember playing that one time
Mm.
they had it on a display somewhere, Children's
Right.
Palace, Toys R Us, something like that. And I played it for 15 minutes, and that thing gave me a headache like you would not believe, because it was just like, ugh. I've always wanted one just more as a conversation piece than an actual,
Exactly.
actually play it. But now there's
Right.
actually a modification you could do that will output it to TV.
true.
So
That's true.
and I don't know how invasive that is, or if you could still use the goggle, use it in a goggle mode. I've never really
Right. If
done any
it'll still
digging into it.
project it dual, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't see why
I,
not, but
right. I have a buddy that has mentioned something about that. I think he has bought the mod, but he hasn't done it yet.
yeah.
And from what I understand, I don't think it's like super expensive, and I think
Mm-mm.
it's just and it doesn't seem to be super intrusive, but I don't know a whole lot about modding
Yeah,
consoles or anything like that, but from what I've heard, it doesn't seem like it's something that's super complicated,
yeah,
or at least not something you need to take apart, the whole thing to get it to or whatever.
right. Yeah,
So that could be really neat.
yeah. I mean, it would be neat
Yeah.
to be able to play them on a TV, even though they'd be in that weird red black thing. But still,
Yeah, that's kind of. I mean, that's kind of sort of the part of the appeal when you break it down,
Mhm.
because that's its thing. I mean, it
Yeah.
failed for multiple reasons, but I mean, that's still the graphical style that it gave us.
Golly, how many games are on that thing? Not many.
I think it's only like 14.
Yeah, so let me pull up my. For some reason, my retro collector app thing that I have, the Virtual Boy, is the one that it gives you for free off the bat. So let's see how many
Weird.
games are on that. Yeah, I know.
Probably
It's
because
odd.
it's the smallest library.
Yeah.
I mean, it's smaller than the 32X.
How many games is there? Oh, there's more than 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 22. 22 games.
And that's in all regions, I'd
Yeah,
imagine.
that's all regions.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what it does is it'll throw in some games in this thing that maybe were available in Europe that weren't available in America or
Right.
something like that.
Like
and certain
region
systems.
exclusives.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, still that's not bad. Now some of them are, some of them are pricey because they were so
Yeah,
hard to
I'm
find.
sure.
But
Well, I mean, with such a small library in general, I
Mhm.
mean, it didn't sell for very long. They weren't pushing out games for it for the
No.
for an extended period of time. So, I'm sure that some of those are quite expensive. I mean, the console itself's pretty, kind of costly to get. So that's why it's like it's one of those things I've always wanted, but I didn't really want to spend the money on it because it wasn't really
Right.
that high on my priority list. I'd rather spend that money on games for consoles I have and actually play. And again, I don't know how often I'll play it. Like you said, it's mainly just going to be like a
Right.
conversation piece. But you know what? I freaking have one now.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Go me.
Yeah, really, absolutely. Oh, okay. So in March of last year, there was actually a ROM card announced, like an EverDrive. So
Yo, okay.
so you could do it off SD cards. So
Nice.
that way that'd be. And there's a port link, a USB port for a link cable, so you could do the 2 players with the
Yeah.
with the game. So that's cool.
Now, see, I don't do EverDrives, but that would be one that I would consider getting because,
Yeah.
I mean, how likely am I going to be to go out there and seek out Virtual Boy games? Extremely unlikely. I
Yeah,
mean,
they're
but
really
if I
hard
can
to
spend
come
like
by.
30 to $50 and have the entire library on a little cart, I might be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, you could spend years trying to find, maybe never even see them, and then you gotta
Right.
go on eBay, and some of them are just so freaking expensive.
Yeah, and then like you said, when you consider other regions and stuff too,
Mhm.
so
That's been
yeah.
my favorite thing with my EverDrives is being able to play translations and games from other countries that I can import the carts and then send them off and have the chip put the ROM patch on them to translate and all this and
Mhm.
that. But it and I considered doing that for some. I even bought some Super Famicom games to go. Yeah, I'm going to send those to whoever that put those chips in and put the thing on them. It's a non-invasive. You can always unsolder it and take them off, and then boom, your cartridge is just like it was before. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I've got the EverDrive here. I've got them. Why waste my time with that? If it's a game I really want, then I'll go out and buy it. But
Right.
I've probably got there's still a few games on the Genesis and the Super NES and the NES that I'd like to have, but at the same time, it's like if I find them in the wild, fine. If I don't, well, I've still got my EverDrive. It's like the
Sure.
N64. The games that I want for the N64 I have, and it's only like three or 4 games. So I got a
Mhm.
ROM cart just to say, oh yeah, let me try this game. so,
Right.
so that's one game system I can't wait to try out with this M Classic because I have mine RGB modded, so it's going to go,
Mm.
with the HD Retrovision cables into the RetroTink and then into this. So
Yeah,
that
and
should make it
anything
look
you can
better.
do, yeah, anything you can do to make the N64 look better. I mean, because it just looks like garbage, man. It's
It
so hard. It's
does
such
not
a
hold up.
it's a muddy, choppy, screen tearing mess.
Hmm.
I mean, and very few games were able to make really solid use out of that graphics card
Yeah,
or chip or whatever.
yeah, it's
Uh,
so true. It's so true.
yeah.
But yeah, so have you been playing anything that you interesting that you wanted to talk about, or?
Yeah, well, I recently got done doing a Final Fantasy Mystic Quest playthrough. It's the first time I've played
Oh,
it through since I was a kid.
oh wow.
Um, my opinion has greatly changed of it over the course of the
All right,
playthrough.
so what was your opinion before you did the playthrough again?
My opinion was, well, I tend to be a bit more forgiving for things
Mm,
where a lot of people see as like really bad. I've always had a tendency to be able to find the good spots of something,
right.
so I tend to like things that people hate. And this I felt was just probably another one of those things. I'm like, I remember it being fun, had bright graphics, the character animations were kind of fun. The music's great, and I remember it being it holds your hand through because it is by default a beginner's RPG.
Right.
But I felt this is a pretty decent game. I don't know why people hate it so much. Then I mean then afterwards, like the more I played it towards the end, I was like, I really just want to be done with this game. It's like it is short and it is easy,
Yeah.
but it's easy in the wrong ways. For example, they give you the ability to restart if you die in a battle. You can just restart that battle. There's like no
Right.
harm, no foul. You get all your magic or health back that you started at the beginning of the battle with. It's but the reason that's there, I feel, is because they couldn't be bothered to finish any balancing or fix the
Mm,
RNG on it
yeah.
because you will fight a regular enemy, especially towards the end, 6, 7 times because it's just they'll hit you with a double petrify and you're dead. Okay,
Right.
well let's try to they did it again. I'm dead. And by the end of the game, I'm just like I don't even care about this game anymore. So I am planning on putting out a review of it because I have things to say about it that won't fit in a podcast micro segment. But I finished that, and I enjoyed it to some degree, not nearly as much as I had hoped I would.
Yeah.
But also recently, it was my birthday last week,
Yep.
and I said, you know what, I'm going to go and buy me a game. So I went to Best Buy and I looked around, and I didn't really see any like limited run releases on the Switch that were catching my eye or anything like that. But
Yeah.
my backup was like, you know what, I'd never buy a new PS4 game. I'm going to get Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
And so I picked that up, and man, I am really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like I've only put about 3 or 4 hours into it so far. I'm only on like the second or third planet, but I'm having a lot of fun. That is a really well made game. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
I just finished it last week. I think
Did
it was
you?
last Friday. Yeah, I got it when it came out, and then we got busy with work. I'd played it 3 or 4 hours, then we got busy with work, and then over Christmas I had 2 weeks off, so it was like, okay,
Mhm.
now it's time for me to dig in and try to finish a couple of these games I got hanging. And one of them was the Outer Worlds, which is an excellent Obsidian RPG. I love that game. It only took me about 30 hours to finish. It didn't take
Okay.
very long. It's a nice short RPG, Western RPG, which is nice. If you're a Fallout fan, if you like the Fallout series, you'll like it.
Okay.
And then the other one I played was Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
There's probably a few things I'll go back and maybe try to collect a few of the other things that I missed. I probably put, I don't know how many hours I put in it, probably at least 25, I would
Hmm.
say. You do a lot of bouncing back and forth. So you'll go to this planet, then you'll move on to another one, and then you'll go back to this planet, and then you'll go back to
Right.
this planet that you started, then back over here. So I think there's only like 4 or 5 planets that you actually go to.
Right.
I like that game. It is definitely a respawn game with the wall running and the stuff like that. That feels Titanfall with the wall running on it. I like the story. the way it ended, it was a good, satisfying ending, but at the same time, it kind of was like, man, I feel like we're just finally getting started. You know, you get to this point, and then it's just like over. And I don't want to spoil the ending for you because I don't know if you've. I
Right.
already had the ending spoiled. I had the ending spoiled for me online before the game even arrived in the mail. So
I've not seen anything, so
okay, good. So do your best not to, because it's a lot more satisfying if you don't know what the ending of it is.
well, that's usually the
yeah.
case.
This one for sure though. This one's more so.
Okay.
You kind of halfway through, you kind of figure, okay, this must be this must be what I'm going to do at the end, and then it totally isn't that at all. So,
Okay.
but yeah, it has the one mechanic in games that I hate, and
What's
it's
that?
jump puzzles. I hate jump puzzles.
What, like climb in and
Yeah, I got to climb over here,
platform
jump
to platform,
to platform, jump over here, and then
Okay.
climb up, and then okay,
Right.
how do I get over here? Oh, I've got to climb down, jump on this, run over here, and then climb up here, and then jump across, and then find this thing to cut down, and then backtrack, and then go over here. That was one of the
Not
things
a
that
fan.
I hate. That's what I hated about Destiny. Destiny was a lot of friggin' jump puzzles. That
Yeah.
first raid, the Vault of Glass, and you get halfway through it, and you've got to jump from pillar to pillar to pillar to get to the other side. And finally, I would just jump as far as I could jump, die, and go, somebody respawn me over on the other side, because I'm done with it. I'm done.
Right.
I like 2D. I like the platforming games. I like
Sure.
that, but I don't like jump puzzles like that. It drives me up the wall. And usually it's because I would just cut something short, fall, and go. And of course, with Fallen Order, if you die, it just starts you right back where you fell off. No.
Yeah, but
penalty,
it takes
no
like
foul.
2 minutes to load.
Oh,
It
see, I
takes,
played
like,
it
2 minutes.
See,
to
I played
load.
it on the Xbox, so I would die, and then it was a really good load time on it. The only time it took a long time to load was either between chapters or at the beginning. Like if I would die, I would just pop right back up and go. It was fine. So
Now, on the PS4 version, it's like 2 minutes to load in between when you die. I mean, if you just fall off, you'll come right
Yeah.
back if it doesn't kill you, because you'll lose a little bit of life from
Right.
falling out of bounds or whatever. But yeah, if you die, it's like 2 minutes. It's crazy.
oh wow, yeah.
Otherwise, though, I'm enjoying the game a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
on the first this isn't really a spoiler, but on the first planet you go to, there's apparently an elite toad monster.
Right.
I didn't realize it was an elite. I was just like, well, I want to get whatever this is before I go. And I had heard, well, this is a game that plays kind of like Dark Souls. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, Dark Souls is hard. I'm not very good at those. So I kept dying in this thing. I'm thinking, jeez, I can't even do anything half the time. I run in, he hits me, boom, boom, and I'm dead.
Right.
So I had to have spent like 2 hours on this guy.
Oh gosh.
Just respawning and trying. And I beat him, and all I got was a 1/3 of like a life container
Yeah.
or life up. And I'm like, and then I found out later that it's like, oh, most people are like, oh yeah, I died like 5 times against him, and then came back way later and killed him. I'm
Yep.
like, oh well, I didn't. I just sat there and I took the punishment, assuming, well, I need to get good at the game, and this is how it's gonna.
That's what I was just getting ready to say. I saw him and I've battled him once and died and went nope. And then about 5 hours into the game, you end up coming right back to that planet about twice as powerful as you were when you were there before,
Yeah.
and you're just cutting through things like it's no tomorrow. So
Well, see, I guess the upside to it is like all the stuff I've fought since then, I've had absolutely no trouble with
Right.
because I understand the fighting mechanics a little bit
Right.
more. So
what
at least there's that.
You playing it on normal?
Yeah, I'm playing on normal.
See, I had to bump it down to easy just because the boss fights were driving me up the frickin' wall. There was a couple of later boss fights that just absolutely just made me so angry that it was just like, okay. And then I bumped it down to easy, and I'm like, okay, I can enjoy this
do
and enjoy
this,
the
yeah.
story again, and I'm all into the, finding out about his past and finding out about
Yeah.
this, and and I know a lot of people are like, oh no, you put that down on easy. I don't care.
Man, whatever.
I'm not here
Enjoy
for
the game the way you enjoy the game.
yeah, I'm
Oh,
not
that's
here
good.
to become a master of playing it on hard
Right.
and skills. I'm just here to have fun, and I don't have time. I don't have time to play games
Right.
like I used to. So
Yeah, I mean, look at our podcast schedule. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. You think we have a lot of time over here?
yeah, but yeah. So yeah, I've been playing. I played Jedi Fallen Order 2. In fact, I've been sitting here all afternoon while I was doing work, going, what am I going to start this evening? I want to start something new.
Yeah.
Do I want to start a whole new game? I need to finish Spider-Man. I need to finish Red Dead. I haven't even played God of War. I haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn. I've got the Call of Duty World War II, which was 2 years ago. It's like, maybe I'll play it. Should be an only 5-hour campaign. I'm not into the multiplayer. I just want to play the story. And maybe that's what I'll play. I don't know. But I do need to finish Spider-Man, so maybe I'll.
Well, best of luck. I mean, I know what it's like to have too many options and just not know where to start.
Well, and that's what's bad is I start something and I get busy, then I leave and then come back, and it's and I've. Last year I played a lot on the Switch. Like the majority of my gaming was on the Switch. And, it's like, well, I'm still buying games for Xbox. I've got Xbox Game Pass. I'm still buying games for PS4. It's like, there's stuff that I need to play on the Xbox. And, well, we'll get down to that. I was going to say that was one of the topics things. See, I'm swooping into the topic about 2020 game goals. It's like, yeah. But, so I'll save that for later. But yeah, I did leave one little news thing in here from when when I wrote these show notes all the way back in
July or August.
Yeah, and I left it in here for you because the Xenoblade developers had pitched an Earthbound game for the GameCube back in the day. And I knew you of all people would appreciate that somebody was wanting to bring out an Earthbound game on something other than the Super Nintendo and the GBA.
Yep. Well, it was in development for like 5 years for the freaking Ultra 64.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
No, yeah. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty and that was pretty much it.
That's the whole news story. Good night, everybody.
That was it. Yeah, that was it. That was the whole news story. But there was and I didn't put the link in here. I should have. But there was a fan made game that you were talking about. Do you remember?
Okay. Yeah, so the Mother 4 project, there's been a fan-made game that people have been working on. It's a small group of people. They've been working on it for about, I want to say, upwards towards 2 years. Mm-hmm. And it was just called Mother 4 Project. Everyone just assumed it was going to be a fan game just called Mother 4. Right. Well, I guess they are so far in the development that they have decided to rebrand it and step away from the Mother series while still, it still very much looks like it's going to feel like a Mother game. Like it looks fantastic. But they have rebranded it as Oddity. And so they're looking to actually release it and actually put it out on like eShop and stuff like that. Yeah. So we may see a Switch release at some point, which I would be stoked to see because it looks really good. Definitely, if you haven't looked at it, check it out. There's a YouTube trailer. It looks really nice.
And I'll try to find the link. I know you sent it to me. I'll try to find it and I'll put it in the show notes and then put it up on the site. But yeah, that'd be really cool. What they need to do is probably put it on Steam. Early access and get some
let
buzz.
It get greenlit,
get it greenlit, and that's what a lot of these Switch indie games do. They come out on Steam first, they get greenlit, and then they get a little money there, and then they put it out on the Switch. So, but yeah, it was a good change to take the Mother off there because Nintendo, you get too much. Nintendo will shut that thing down in a heartbeat.
Right, you start getting a little bit more of the public eye on you, and they're just going to take everything you've got. Better rebrand it sooner than later.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Nintendo don't mess around with the legalese.
No, they do not at all. Because when you first said that to me, I'm like, how long will it take this to get shut down? And I went, oh, they renamed it to something else. Okay, it'll probably be all right then. It won't be.
They fixed the issue before it was an issue.
Yeah, that's smart. Good for them.
Right.
So, yeah, that was because it could. Nintendo is very, very funny with stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. Protect them IPs.
Sure, yeah,
even if you're never going to use them in 100 years.
That's their legacy, right? I mean, they have the right.
Sure, why not? One of the main things we wanted to talk about on this episode was video game magazines. If you guys are on the live stream, you can see it says "Video Game Memories," magazine memories on the thing. I think it's a really cool thing. So, you go first because I'm pretty sure I know what yours is. I know what a lot of your magazines are probably going to be because you're more the Nintendo guy than I was back then.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you got me. Obviously, the big one's going to be the Nintendo Power.
Oh, and you got the first issue there. Cool.
Dude, I have like the first 5 or 6 years, and then like my dad was an early adopter of it, but
Hmm.
not like super early. I think his first issue, I want to say, if memory serves me right, which I was very young, obviously at the time, he had bought the fourth or fifth issue and subscribed from that point, and then he had purchased the back order issues. Like
Oh
he had
wow.
sent the card in and
Yeah.
bought the Nintendo Power earlier ones, um, and yeah, he got him from then on, and every month, it'd come in the mail, and I remember getting to look at the pictures and stuff like that. And at one point, he just got out of gaming on the consoles
Right.
altogether, and he was going to throw them out. And I'm like, I had to have been 12 at this point, maybe even a little bit younger. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna just get rid of these." I'm like, "No, no, no, no! I will find room for them in my room. Give them to me."
Yeah.
So I saved them, and I still have them. And since then, I've had a couple subscriptions as a teen and as an adult. And
Yeah.
man, when that last issue came to my door, it was a sad moment, man.
Well,
It
one.
was the end of an era. It was a
Yeah.
huge part of my childhood that was ending there.
Well, a magazine that I recommend to you, and I meant to bring down a copy of it, and I forgot. Is it's oh, I get it every other month. I did the Patreon for it. It's called Nintendo. Shoot, why can't I remember what the heck it's called now? I thought about it, and let me look it up here real quick.
I
But
feel like this is something that you shared with me at one
I
point.
did, and I mean it is literally the spiritual successor. Nintendo gave them their blessing and said, if you want to do
Right.
it, you go right ahead and do it. And let's see, let me look it up here real quick. It's Nintendo. Golly, why can't I? I get it literally every. Get it every other month, and it is absolutely uh, Nintendo Power, except not officially Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is nice. It is a good quality magazine. It's like I think I get it in the digital copy for $6 a month through the Patreon. What's it called? Jeez, not Nintendo Life. That's a website.
That is a website.
Nintendo Force magazine. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Nintendo Force. Yeah,
Oh, I get it. Power, force.
yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, see what you did there. So I do I think it's $7 a month or $7
Yeah.
an issue, and I get the digital copy, and then about a week later, the physical copy comes in the mail. It always comes with a two-sided poster, so
Nice.
it's usually whatever the game is. Like this issue. For February, well, February 23rd is the cutoff. It's Animal Crossing issue
Yeah.
45.
Well, that makes
So
sense.
yeah, because by the time we get it, Animal Crossing will be almost out, and it'll have it'll have exclusive trading cards from limited run games in it this time around.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's got they're teaming up. I'm just now seeing this. I'm trying. This is the second time that they've done this. I got the last one.
Okay.
I don't know what these are. They're not. They're not for Animal Crossing. They're something else. I know what that game is. I saw Limited Run announce it the other day, but I can't remember the name of it. Boya Sales, maybe? Sable? Boya Sable. Vitamin Connection.
Oh
They're,
yeah, I ordered that one. That one looks fun.
yeah, there's going to be trading cards in with it
Okay.
this time.
Neat.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, that Vitamin Connection game looks really cool too. I need to probably order one of those if they're still available. I think they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, I think they're available until the 31st, the end of the
Yeah,
month.
31st
Because we
of the
had a
month.
dialogue about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because I haven't bought a limited run game in a while. So,
Oh.
but yeah, that's. I was never one. I wasn't a Nintendo guy, so I didn't have Nintendo Power
Right.
magazines or anything like that. I had
Bust it on out.
Sega Visions is what I had. I had the premiere issue of Sega Visions. They only made 17 issues of this. I actually have this one's actually I put it in a sleeve. When I was cool.
Fancy.
I used to take these to school.
Yeah.
This is 1989, 1990 when they started publishing this. 1990. So I'd take him to school, and a buddy of mine would look at him and want to look at him. I mean, this was nice, high quality, glossy
Yeah.
paper.
Looks
They,
nice and glossy.
yeah, they had trading cards in the
Huh.
magazine, which I've still got the trading cards in there. They had a little comic book at the end. It was very much like Nintendo Power, just
Well, I
Sega
mean,
instead.
you said it came out in 1990.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that would have been 2 years. Well, a year and a half after Nintendo Power.
yeah,
Nintendo's Power's first issue was July August 1988. Back when they were once every 2 months.
right. What's funny is like I've still got coupons in here. KB Toys $10 off a Sega Genesis cart. See, I got still got the
Nice.
$10 coupon in there. There was only 17 issues of this. This was June, July of 1990. There were 17 issues of this. What was cool about it was it didn't cost you any money if you subscribed to it. You could subscribe to it for free.
Nice.
There would be a card that came with a Genesis game or a system, and as long as you sent the card in, every once in a while, and whenever they ask for it inside, you could keep your subscription for free. So I'm not sure. I have almost every issue of this.
Yeah.
I know I've got the first 10 or 12 issues,
Mhm.
and I've got some other magazines that I haven't been able to find at Mom's, but like here's issue, just to show you, here's issue 2, and this one was cool because it was Strider.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean these things were. I loved getting these in the mail. And this one didn't come till, and it was sporadic. Like this was June and July of 1990. Then we finally got one in October and November. It wasn't every month. It was just kind of like when you get one, you
Yeah.
get one. And if you bought it, you could buy it on the newsstand for $3.50. But if you did a subscription, you got it for free. The one,
So basically, just like, hey, I bought one of your games. Give me your magazine subscription.
yeah,
Send in that card.
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And I can't find it. I have one that dates during the Master System. That
Hmm.
there was a card that came with the Master System. Sign up for their newsletter. It technically was a magazine, but it was only like a 6-page magazine. It
Sure.
just folded up and they sent it to you in the mail. I have an issue of it around here somewhere. I cannot find it right off the top of my head. The trouble is, it's so thin. It's probably in between one of the 200 issues of GamePro magazine I have.
Yeah, let me on a similar note, if you remember correctly, when Nintendo Power was trying to push RPGs, because RPGs weren't popular in the West,
Right.
they did that Dragon Warrior giveaway where they sent early subscribers of Nintendo Power a free game pack, as they were
Right.
called back then, of Dragon Warrior. And I remember that they sent a letter. And I remember at one point in having my Nintendo Powers, after rescuing from him, at some point I found the letter, and so I have the letter, and I don't know if I still have it. And again, like you mentioned, it could be sandwiched between one of
Right.
these, 200 to 300 whatever magazines that I have. I mean,
Yeah.
so I could still have it, but I just as sooner write it off because I don't know. But it was a really cool thing to have. It was like this. Hey, check out this new Dragon Warrior, blah blah blah, for free, and it's like.
Yeah.
Man, can you imagine a company doing that now with like a physical copy of a game? I mean,
Oh,
digital,
Lord.
sure. Hey, here's the free game of the month or whatever. But like, oh yeah, here's a full $60, release game.
Yeah.
And that for that reason, I think is one of the reasons that Dragon Warrior is just absolutely one of the most common NES games. I swear they're a dime a dozen. I've
yeah.
had probably 15 copies come through the house since I've been collecting. It's insane.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's it was funny, and see, I think a lot of those things with the Sega stuff I know when I bought my Game Gear, there was a coupon to get like 3 free games. You mailed in the thing and got a thing, and then there would be a magazine that would come with it or a newsletter come with it. I
Yeah.
wish and I thought of it too late for me to go through because that's number 2 for me is GamePro magazine.
Hmm.
Bought the first issue of GamePro magazine. I bought the second issue of GamePro magazine when it came out on the stands. A buddy of mine got the first issue, and I liked it so much I bought the second issue when it came out. And from that point on, every year my mother got me a subscription to it. It was $20 a year, and she subscribed to it for me every year. I never renewed it. It just kept coming. And even when I got married and moved to North Carolina in 2003, 2003, when they were still publishing that magazine. She still renewed my subscription for $20 or $25, whatever it was at that time, every year.
That's really
I
cool.
just magically would get it in the mail, and I should have every issue from 2 to the very last issue.
Nice.
I've just got to go through. I've got some here. There's still some at Mom's in the closet. There's some up in the attic. I actually brought a box over here the other day that had all my Sega Visions in it. I knew I had them somewhere. I just didn't know where. And I just randomly was down in the basement moving stuff, and because there was a water leak, and I opened up the box and went, "Holy crap, here they are!" And I just closed the box up and brought it over here to the house. And went through.
Here we go.
I mean, I had gas. I sent you a picture of it. I had a gas receipt from like 1995 where gas was like 92 cents a gallon or something like that. It was like, why did I hold on to this stuff? But I pulled this issue specifically, not because it's got Donkey Kong Country on it, but because I want you to look how thick that sucker is. That thing is almost
thick.
300 pages, and it was $4.95 in the day.
It's insane.
This is the December of 1994 issue. The first issue was, I think, 89. But this thing, I mean, this was like their Christmas issue, so it is jam-packed with just all kinds of stuff and cheats,
reviews and preview
and advertisements, and here's a White Rangers, Power Rangers card that I never pulled out of there. And some of these that I have, the covers are absolutely falling off of them because, like I said, I would take a lot of them to school, and we'd look at them in school, and my buddy would borrow them and read them, and he would. Some of them you can look through and like they still have the subscription card in them, and he would write little things on it like butthead or
you smell like fart,
or you smell like. So I'd be flipping through and going, oh my gosh, like here's an interesting pamphlet. This is the National Council to Keep Children Well Behaved. Parents, beware, don't let your child read this. And you open it up, and it's warning about Corpse Killer and how it's an M-rated game, and how this Slam City's a good game because it's rated, teen or whatever. And here's so this is like a little advertisement about the
dangers of video games.
The dangers of video games and stuff, but. Yeah, I mean, it's funny to go back and look through some of these things. I mean, this one has 3DO. This one has a huge... What game is this? This is a big strategy guide. Oh, this has got a 14-page pro strategy guide for Earthworm Jim in it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And I love these. I love going back and looking through them.
Oh yeah, some of the coolest things you see in there, the weird ads, or like just see some of the contests they used to run and stuff, and see, and there's some systems or some games like magazines that I've looked through, that I remember having as a kid, and I look through and I see a game, and I'm like, I don't think this game ever came out. I'm looking through and I'm like, I have no recollection of this game, and I'd look it up, and it's just one that never made it over here, and it's just. It's really cool to see like all these, and I don't know, like another thing that's this telltale for some of these old ones. Like here's one I have here. It's Game Player's Buyer's Guide for Nintendo games.
Yeah,
and this, I mean, there was a bunch of these with the games that were coming out, and they had some of the worst taken screenshots ever because they were taking these with flash cameras,
on monitors,
they didn't know how to do exactly.
Yeah.
And so you have some of the worst screenshots, and it's like you'd always tell the quality of the magazine by the quality of the screenshots.
Oh, yeah,
like you see a nice high definition screenshot for the time that you can actually see what's going on. Well, that's a high quality magazine right there. Not so much on this side, but
yeah, I mean this covered Sega, Nintendo, Jaguar, 3DO, CDI, Neo Geo, 32X arcade right on the top. And like this was one that always cracked me up. This was a company called Chips and Bits, and they sold. You could trade in, you could send your games in, and this is a price list on how much they give you for the game, and then how much they would sell it. Sell a used copy for.
Sure,
and they did it all through the mail. Like there's a copy of Star Wars the arcade for 32X, $52.
Wow.
But,
I think I got my CIB copy for $12.
Yeah, I know, right? Let me see. Let's just see if they. I want to look at like stupid games here and just see.
Let's see if there's anything like super rare on there.
Yeah. Earthworm Jim is $66. You know, some of these games new were more expensive, and that's the thing. That's the thing you don't. Well, I don't remember because I was so young then. I mean, this was 94. This was the year I graduated high school. So, sometimes they would have the prices of the games in the reviews as well. And, like, Phantasy Star was $100. It's like, well, no wonder.
I mean,
no wonder
a lot of those were. They were all over the place. I mean, again, I was younger, so I don't really remember either.
Yeah.
But I mean, just looking at sometimes people will post like the old Toys R Us ads and things of that nature, for like Sears or whatever, and you just see the different prices for they vary so much. It's like anywhere between $35 and $85 for an NES game, and you're like, how do they get their prices?
Here's the pro review for Super Punch Out.
That's a fun game.
$59.95. Retail price. It's a 24
that makes sense
cartridge.
By today's standard.
Yeah. This one says not available. Oh, here you go. Here's Android Assault for the Sega CD, $49.99. But a lot of these don't have the price available. Here's $54.99 for the Genesis game Zero, the Kamikaze Squirrel. I never
I never played that one.
Yeah, I never played that one either. But there's, it's so funny to go back and look through these. And that's what I'll do a lot of times is I'll just pull a magazine out of the, and I need to file them. I need to put them all in order, make sure I've got all the issues, put away. And then I've got paper boxes, that reams of paper came in. They would throw them away over at school. I tell Nikki, grab them. So I've got like 10 or 12 of those boxes so I can just file. These will just fit just right down in there perfect. So I need to do that. And I did buy some Nintendo Powers on Facebook, it was a year or two ago. I've got probably 60 issues of them.
Sure.
I paid like $15 for the whole pile of them. God was practically
that's a good price.
Giving them away. They have the posters in them, so. And usually the posters are worth more than the magazine, so.
In a lot of cases, yeah. A lot of people are actually reprinting those posters, like, not official reprints, but,
Yeah. Well, some of the art, those posters were just cool, so.
Yeah. I do have one more I wanted to briefly talk about, especially since you mentioned Nintendo Force being the spiritual successor to Nintendo Power. So after Nintendo Power finished, I there was that hole there. I wasn't getting my monthly Nintendo Power. You get stuff from online and whatnot, but it's just not the same.
Right.
So in searching around trying to find a replacement or something comparable, I came across Pure Nintendo magazine.
Yep.
I don't know if you've and it's pretty good, and I'm pretty sure they're still in print, or they at least still manage a website at least.
I'll look it up while you're talking about it.
Right. It may just be the website now. I'm not sure. I know a lot of these smaller magazine companies have not done so well just because of the media, But they're really high quality from when I got it. Like here's one going over Shovel Knight when I didn't even know about the game until I got this magazine, and I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool. Little did I know it'd be like one of the best games of the last decade.
Oh yeah.
That they're still adding on to. But yeah, this is it's still in print. Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've emailed, talked to the guys that run it, and they're all really nice. And I just had to cut it off because it's a little pricier than Nintendo Power was. It's a smaller office and stuff. They got to keep it running, which I understand. But I mean, it's super glossy. I mean, I don't know if you can see this, John, but it is like way glossy. Like this is some thick, almost cardstock paper.
Now, are they a UK magazine?
Are they a what?
Are they out of the UK?
I'm not sure. I thought they were out of the U.S.
Maybe they are. Yeah, a print magazine is $14.99. A digital is $4.61. Or you can get the print and the digital for the same price as you can get the print. So,
yeah. I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's really nice quality magazine, and a lot of the articles are well written, and there's lots of fun things like they put little like Picross puzzles in the back of this one that make pixelated
Yeah,
characters and stuff, and they do retro reviews and they talk about different themes like here's this game and this date in 1988 or whatever, or
right,
here's just a random game I want to talk about. It's got a lot of stuff like that, but it's not a bad magazine. If I just I like I said, I had to stop getting them because at the time I couldn't afford it, and I wasn't really reading them when they came in. They were just kind of
right,
going on the shelf because, as to no fault of their own, it still just didn't feel that. It just wasn't the same. And like I said, it's not their fault. They put up a quality product, and that's a
right.
really nice magazine. So I would recommend it if someone wants to, check it out. But just for other, my own personal reasons, I had it cut off. But I have 6 issues of it because it was bi-monthly. I don't know
Yep,
if it still
it's
is or
still
not.
bi-monthly. It says.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So 6 issues for the year.
I know a lot of the magazines are still alive and well, but they're
Hmm.
in the UK. So,
Right.
I Retro Gaming Magazine is still going, Retro Gamers, and I picked
Right.
up an issue of it a couple months ago because they had a big Shenmue cover. So
Yeah.
I
Of
picked
course you
it
did.
up, yeah, and it was like I had to go to Barnes and Noble to get it, and it was like $15 or $16, and
Oh,
I picked
wow.
up a Edge magazine because they had a cover story of Shenmue 3, so I picked it up as well, and I think I paid
Hmm.
$20 for that magazine, and it was just
Whew.
like that. But when you buy those magazines because of the import tax on them, because they're always a month behind over here because they come from Europe, from England. So that's why I
Right.
wondered if that one was from England too. It doesn't say, but
I think it's from U.S., but
yeah,
either way, I mean, it's not a bad publication. I'd recommend it.
yeah, that one's pretty cool. And if you want, yeah, I can't talk and type at the same time. I was going to see how much. I don't even remember how much I pay monthly for the Nintendo Force magazine, with or ish, not monthly, the issue price, because I know you
Hmm.
can buy the backs of it, but I think the Patreon I pay $6 for. Why can't I? Oh, there it is. Say, why can't I click on anything on their website? Because it's not very good on this web page for some reason. Um, yeah, you can get a PDF version. A print issue is $5. A
Okay.
digital subscription is $2.99, or you could get the print and digital for $5.99. So for $6 every other month is what I paid for Nintendo Force.
Not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad either. I like it. I get it. And then I have a shelf upstairs, a bookcase upstairs that we keep stuff on, and I have a magazine rack on it. It has a little lip on it that folds up so you can stack the magazines like you see in a doctor's office or something like that. So they're all
Right.
pimped out on it. But I need to go through because I've got like 20 issues up there. It's like getting full. So, but the last magazine that I will say anything about is the Dreamcast magazine.
Yep.
This thing was really cool. I've got every issue of it. I had a subscription to it, and from day one, and this one transferred over to the Xbox magazine. This is what it turned into. It's the same bunch of guys. When the Dreamcast went away, they started doing the Xbox magazine. What was
Hmm.
cool with this magazine is every month it came packed with a game disc, with demos and some exclusive things that you couldn't get on anything else but the disc. And it was a
Hmm.
large format. I mean, you can see how wide that format is, especially compared to, like Game Informer. It's a little wider
Oh,
magazine.
wow. Okay.
So it's more of I like to call it a coffee table magazine.
Sure.
I don't remember how many issues of this there was. I want to say 12 maybe.
Hmm.
And then
I remember seeing that one at the store.
yeah, it was always polybagged and it came with a disc.
Hmm.
I just happened to. This was just the one I just grabbed because it just happened to have Shenmue on the cover of it. It was just laying there on top of the pile. But these were like $8 an issue back when they first came out. You know, that was kind of it's not really thick, but you got that demo disc with it, and that was where I first played Shenmue.
Yeah, that's where you get that value.
Yeah, so I got a subscription to it, which was cheaper, and then I just get it in the mail, and that's where I played Shenmue, and was like, yeah, I got to buy this game when it comes out. So then I went to GameStop and pre-ordered it, but it's got Skies of Arcadia in there, which that may be the game I play on. I may play Skies of Arcadia on the GameCube. I don't know.
Well, you mentioned it like 3 times now.
I know. Well, after I got that sucker in 480p, it just looks so good.
It's begging to be played.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I am always big on the magazines. Always have been. The thing about it is, when I lived in North Carolina, I had a subscription to GamePro magazine. Still technically have a subscription to GamePro magazine, or not GamePro, Game Informer magazine, because I do the Power Up thing at GameStop. But I don't get the magazine in the mail anymore. I just do the digital on my phone. And I had tons of issues of it. I've got tons of issues of Electronic Gaming Monthly at Mom's that I need to go through. I had a lot of next-gen PC magazines that I went through. I sold on Craigslist down there all my Game Informers, all my next-gen. I had totes and totes and totes of magazines. I think I counted over 200, 300 issues of magazines. I think I sold them all on Craigslist for like $75 to $100 just to get rid of them.
Yeah, I also had a ton of Game Informers because, like everyone else, of course, I mean, if anybody who buys video games, at some point you buy a video game at GameStop, at some point it's relevant for you to do that. And yeah, I mean, I couldn't even give them away. Like I couldn't, I just didn't have room for them, so I was getting rid of them. And I couldn't even find anybody that would just take them for free. Yeah. Like I had to just throw them out if I'm remembering correctly. Because I mean, and I stopped reading those too. I'd get them in the mail and I'd just throw them off to the side.
Well, and that's why I just kind of went digital. I just started taking the digital issues. It's like, if they're there, I'll read them. If not, and I can't tell you the last time I even opened up one of the digital issues to read. I just haven't. But I have some old Game Informer magazines that I found with the visions from '89 and '90. They are so weird looking because they are nowhere like they are now.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's just so strange. But eventually, I'm going to get rid of all my Electronic Gaming Monthlies. The only things I want to keep are my Game Informers, my Dreamcast magazines, and my Sega Visions magazines. And my
you mean your Game Pros? You said Game
Pros. Yeah, I meant Game Pros. Sorry.
I was like, well, you better go back in time and buy those back.
Game Pro, Game Informer.
It's all the same.
They're all the same. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'll keep those because I've got so many issues of the Game Inform or Game Pro anyway, so it's like I'll keep those because those have a nostalgia factor for me. Because like I said, some of the covers are almost tore off where I'd take them to school and read them in study hall and read them in class and read them at lunch.
Or you put them back on the shelf and the cover bows out and it pops off the end or whatever.
Well, see, I never put them on the shelf. I always just piled them up. I'd have a stack, about a foot high next to the bed, and then when those were done, I'd throw them in the closet and then start another stack. And and that's the way it is at the house. There's just some up in the attic that are just stacked up that I just need to go up and get and pull them out. And that's my goal for this year, is to just clear out a lot of that crap at my mom's house. All my old toys are there from when I was a kid, from the 70s and 80s. It's just stuff that I need to get rid of.
So that's a goal of yours in 2020, you might say?
That is one of my goals of 2020 is to get
that's a good segue.
Yeah, to get my mom's attic, get my crap out of my mom's attic, because I am not going to keep very little of that stuff. There's some stuff I am going to keep, maybe one or two little sets of toys, but most of them I'm going to get rid of. I'm going to sell my He-Man, I'm going to sell my Brave Star, I'm going to sell my G.I. Joe, I'm going to get rid of my Transformers when my nephew gets old enough to not like them anymore. Yeah. I'm going to get rid of a bunch of that stuff because it's just taking up space. It's been up in the attic for almost 20 years, untouched. It's like... Yeah.
You hadn't missed it. You're not gonna miss it.
No, and it's well played with. It's not like it's collector's level pristine condition. So it's like, magazines the same way. Those magazines are gone. I'm just going to keep just what I want to keep, and it's going to be very, very minimal because after the last time I moved, I do not want to move bunch of crap again. I just don't
I
want to do it.
completely understand. I completely understand.
So yeah, so I want to get rid of this stuff as quickly as possible. But
Yeah.
but it's just
Well, let
finding
me know
time.
when you start getting rid of magazines because there might be a couple I might want.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll let you know. Like I said, I know I've got a bunch of EGMs from
Yeah.
the 80s and 90s. I've got a bunch of Game Informers from the 80s and 90s. I don't even know what else I've got up there. I got
Sure.
I got wrestling magazines, the old WWF wrestling magazines. I already told my buddy who's a big wrestling fan. I said, as soon as I dig them all out, brother, they're yours. You can have them. I mean, you don't
Right.
even have to give me a penny for them. If you want them, you got them. But yeah, 2020 gaming goals.
Absolutely.
My goal this year is just to beat games that I play. I have got to
Hmm.
stop. I've been pretty good this year so far. I know we're only 3 4 weeks into the year, but I've only bought one game, and that was Shinobi today on the Sega Ages on the Switch because I'm the biggest Shinobi fan. I had to have it.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the rewind feature in it is awful nice because,
Yeah. I'm sure.
yeah, it's like, you know
The
what?
game is not very forgiving.
No, not and this is the arcade version.
Yeah.
This isn't the Master System version. So it's like, oh man, I got jumped by 17 guys at one time. Let me rewind that. And then
Now I know they're
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know they're there. But the thing about it is playing through it that way, I remember. Oh, I remember this boss. I remember getting this on the Master System version. I remember that. I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember that. So it's kind of a cool going back and going, yeah, I remember playing that because I'm not as good as those games as I used to be. My timing just
No.
as I've
Yeah.
aged is just not like it used to be. So,
Right.
but I've already beat Outer Worlds, and I've already beat Jedi Fallen Order. So now it's going to be mopping up some other games and then finally maybe starting something new. The trouble is I've got Game Pass on the
Yeah.
Xbox, so every 2 weeks or so they release 3 or 4 games, and it's like this week it was that Indivisible game and the Plague Tale, and I was like, ooh, I really want to try those. No.
Yeah.
I need to finish something else. Don't start that. It's like there
Now.
was,
Now.
in December they had Redbox was getting rid of games, so they clearanced out a bunch of their games. Like I got Resident Evil 2 on the Xbox for like $7 or something like that.
Wow.
It's like, okay, that was listed as a game of the year. I'm not much on the horror games anymore, but I'll try it out.
Yeah. It's
But
supposed to be really good.
yeah, so I'll try it out at some point. I put it on the shelf and said, let's finish up
Yeah.
everything else first. So,
Oh yeah.
but I want to. The one thing that's probably going to save me with PlayStation and Xbox is if they announce with these new consoles coming out at the end of the year, they're going to say, hey, everything's going to be backwards compatible. Hey, that'll be
Yeah.
great because then I'll have even more time to finish.
Right.
I won't be moving on to the newest. Yeah, I may move on to the newest system, but I won't have to start. New games only, and then because sometimes it's hard to whip out an old system and hook it up, and because I'm not
Right.
one to leave as much as I would like to, I don't leave every system I have plugged up. I just don't. Especially the old Genesis and NES and those old power bricks. They get hot even when you're not playing them, and they make me nervous. And I'm afraid one of them's going to pop or blow up or catch fire or something like that. So I don't leave any of that crap. The only thing I leave hooked up is my Dreamcast, my GameCube, my Wii U, my Switch, and PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And that's it. Anything
Yeah.
else I want, I actually physically have to pull it out, hook it up, and go. Which is really not that big a deal because everything is RGB modded, and I use HD Retrovision cables, and I have two of them. One for
Yep.
Nintendo, one for Genesis. So, and the one that works on the Sega stuff works on all the Sega stuff and the Saturn and the TurboGrafx and all of it. So it's two cables for everything. And then I have a universal power plug that powers everything except the Super NES. So it's like, so I only have one plug plugged in. It's like, so I don't even have to worry about pulling out power plugs and things like that. So, but yeah, that's my goal is just to finish games that I've been playing instead of
Yeah.
because I've bought a ton of Saturn or Switch games last year. I'm
Yeah.
up to over 100 Switch games, and I maybe have beat 3 or 4 of them. I've
Yeah,
played them all a couple hours, but never finished them.
I've got some I haven't even played. I mean, I have far less than you do, but yeah, you get kind of caught up in that trap.
Yeah.
My one of my goals is pretty much the exact same thing: is to beat games, finish games that I start. My backlog is always a mile long, especially when I'm starting games and not coming back to them.
Right.
So I need to play more games that I've not beaten, as opposed to start new playthroughs of games that I have beaten multiple times.
Right.
Because I'm bad at that too. Like, yeah, I'll start a file on Earthbound or Final Fantasy VI or Secret of Mana or whatever, at any given time. And it's like, I really love this game, but why am I have so many games that I haven't even sunk my teeth into, So that's definitely one of my goals for the year, as well as in addition to just trying to be more active with my YouTube channel. I kind of fell off the wagon, and with balancing streaming and doing YouTube has been kind of difficult. But I put out 2 videos last month. I haven't put out anything this month yet.
Yeah.
But I'm working on some stuff, and I really want to try to grow the channel a little bit more and start putting out more scripted content is one of my big goals. But that's you got to find the time, so something else is going to have to get cut somewhere else as well. So
yeah. I would love to be able to start streaming at least once a week again, but it's like if I'm on the, sometimes I have to leave on a Sunday, sometimes I have to leave on a Monday. If I'm around here, then that's great. If not, I'm usually gone for 2 or 3 days, and then I'm back on Friday night. Then it's Saturday is going to the grocery store, spending time with the wife, cleaning
yard work and all that other
stuff.
Then,
oh, yard work. No, I didn't even try that this year. I just I paid a kid to come do it.
Oh,
just like,
well, there you go.
Yeah, it was just like, you know what, I just
pay for that convenience.
Yeah, at this point, it's like I just don't got time. So it's, but it's like pretty much I'll wash clothes and then I'm out again. So it's, and that's the way it's going to be for the next couple months, starting next week. It's just so it's like, I really just need to sit down and on a Friday night or a Saturday night, just sit down and stream for an hour and a half, something, whether it's just what I'm playing or, or just dinking around with a couple NES games or TurboGrafx or something. I have everything set up and ready to go. All I got to do is just flip a switch. But sometimes you just want to sit down and sometimes and that's what it was like for a couple months. I just sat down and I played nothing. It's just relax and
watch TV or something,
or just kind of chill out, or and so I don't know. I'm going to try to at least do more this year. I do want to play. It seems silly to keep buying games and paying for a game service when not really using it to its fullest potential. It's like I've said, especially with the Switch games, I've become more of a connoisseur and collector of games than I am a actual player of games.
Oh yeah.
Because I'll buy them, pop them in, play them for an hour, and then go, yeah, this is great. Well, I've got 7 other games that I want to take with me, so let me put this one back in the box, and I'll get to it eventually at some point. Yeah. When that day comes that I retire, I will have 25, 30, 40 years of games to play. So, hopefully I'll live till I'm 100.
Yeah, you got that going for you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's always something.
That's when you'll start your YouTube channel and be like game review grandpa.
Old man, game review grandpa, old man gamer or something like that. It's always something, and it's hard to find that balance. And that's the thing is, my wife wouldn't care if I came down here after dinner and sat and played till time to go to bed, but at the same time I want to sit on the couch and talk with her and watch TV and spend time with her. It's like
you got to do domestics as well.
It's like I don't I want to come down, but I don't want to come down and play. That was one of the bad things about having a game room in the basement is it separates you from everywhere else in the house. But that's a good thing sometimes too. So.
Right. You need that solace, but it's like, hey, you can come hang out sometimes too.
Yeah. Well, and then the dogs won't come down the steps. They won't come downstairs. So it's like, well, then you just leave them upstairs by themselves if she would come down. Because she would come down, sit on the couch and read or chill on Facebook while I played. But then the dogs sat upstairs by themselves, and You know, it's
Yeah.
like, and I don't know why they won't come down the steps. They're afraid. They've never had to come down steps before, so they're terrified of them. So, and they're too big to carry. I'm not going to haul a 50-pound dog down the steps and go, here you
no
go.
thanks. I'll carry you back upstairs now.
Yeah. Oh, they probably go up the stairs. It's coming down that they just won't do. So I don't know. I've never tried it. I'm afraid I'll fall down the stairs halfway with a dog in my hand.
Yeah, I wouldn't attempt that.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So if you got any gaming goals that are not like ours, feel free to email us the-gamers-lounge.com or tweet us at back2bits, not the number 2 TO bits. Which I could change that, I guess, but I like it. That's fine. But tell us what your New Year's resolution is and gaming goals.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd like to hear it.
Yeah, I'd really like to hear it, and we talk about it on the show. I've always got the email pulled up for all the email addresses I have, because I've got them for the sites, and I get PR emails all the time. So it'd be nice to get a non-PR email with just
Yeah, absolutely. And on the same token, if you have any topics you'd like to see us cover, some suggestions, or even questions you want to pose, you can always email them or send them to the Twitter as well.
Yep.
Give us something to talk about and make our jobs a little easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe I have DMs open on the Twitter, so you can just shoot me a DM right in there. But yeah, so that's cool. So hopefully we will be back in 2 weeks. That would be the 7th. I should be home by that time. So around the 7th or 8th, we'll try to do it on Friday night, but we may have to do it on Saturday night too if we're busy.
Yeah, we'll improvise as needed.
Yeah, but if you follow us on Twitter, like I said, at Back2Bitch, I usually try to tweet out a couple hours before we go live, so you guys will know who, the what, the where. And I do the same thing for the regular podcast. So, but yeah. So, and then Danny's always streaming. You don't stream? Well, you stream on Mondays, but you do. What is it you're doing? You're doing it somewhere else, though, aren't you?
Yeah, I've been streaming every Monday on Playas Guide. That's twitch.tv/Playas Guide, PLAYAS Guide, GUIDE. And it's basically a multi-streamer channel where we've got 4 different guys streaming on different days, so it gives more variety and something. We aim to have it to where it's any given day of the week there's going to be something retro on there that you can tune in to make it like a one-stop shop sort of deal. So we each have allocated a day of the week to it, and so I stream on there on Mondays. That's actually where I was doing my Final Fantasy Mystic Quest playthrough.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and also I'm still streaming on my channels on Tuesdays. I do my Tuesday where you can come in and request stuff. A lot of times people pick some bad games, but that's part of it. I enjoy every bit of it.
Thank God you don't have EverDrives, because then they could choose any game in the world.
Yeah, well, you'd be surprised. Some of them still try. I have a spreadsheet, and a lot of people don't want to look at the spreadsheet. They're just like, play this game, and I'm like, it has to be on the spreadsheet. Here's the link. I've made it quite accessible. But yeah, so you can catch me on my channel or on Playas Guide's channel on Mondays on Twitch.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we will call that a show then, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening and subscribing. Like I said, you follow us at Back2Bits. That way you'll know exactly when we go live for the next show. And yeah, so that's it. So thanks a lot, guys, and we will catch you all next time.
Yep. Have a good one.